Welcome to the weekly press briefing of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, where we aim to provide journalists with an update on the latest developments at the court and the opportunity to ask questions. On Monday, 9th of October, initial appearances took place in separate hearings for Ismet Bakhtiari and Sabit Yanusi. Mr. Yanusi and Mr. Bakhtiari were arrested last Thursday in Kosovo by the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, pursuant to arrest warrants, transfer orders, and a confirmed indictment issued by a pretrial judge of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. They were transferred last Friday to the detention facilities of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers in The Hague. Mr. Yanusi and Mr. Bakhtiari are each charged with intimidation and attempting to obstruct, including by serious threats, official persons in performing official duties. The pretrial judge confirmed their indictment on the 2nd of October 2023, and a public redacted version is available on the KSC website. The indictment states that between at least 5th of April 2023 and 12th of April 2023, Mr. Yanusi and Mr. Bakhtiari individually met with a witness in order to induce them to withdraw evidence or refrain from providing evidence in official proceedings before the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, including by use of serious threat. It further states that Mr. Yanusi and Mr. Bakhtiari, in co-perpetration with other individuals, coordinated as a group before and after their in-person approaches to the witness. At an initial appearance, the pretrial judge makes sure that the rights of the accused, including the right to legal representation, are respected, and that the accused understand the charges against them. During their initial appearances on Monday, both Mr. Bakhtiari and Mr. Yanusi pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. The first status conference in the Yanusi and Bakhtiari case is taking place today. Status conferences are preparatory hearings convened by the pretrial judge in order to review the status of the case, organize exchanges between the parties, and take steps to ensure that all necessary preparations for trial are conducted by the parties in a timely and diligent fashion. In the case of Hashim Thaci, Kadri Veseli, Recep Salimi, and Jakub Krasniqi, trial hearings have been held throughout this week. On Monday, 9th of October, the prosecution called witness Nebojša Radošević, who was a journalist for the Serbian news agency Tanjug during the relevant period. He was the 28th witness called by the prosecution so far. According to a short summary read out in court, Radošević was detained by KLA members in 1998, along with his photographer, Vladimir Dobričić. Mr. Radošević's testimony continued into Tuesday, and he was questioned by the prosecution and cross-examined by defense teams. The judges also asked the witness questions. On Tuesday, 10th of October, the 29th witness called by the prosecution commenced their testimony, after which the hearing went into private session and then adjourned. At the beginning of this witness's testimony on Wednesday morning, the witness requested to consult with their duty counsel, who later addressed the court in private session. The trial panel subsequently informed the witness's duty counsel about the possibility of sanctions under the rules and the law if a witness who has been duly summoned fails to appear or refuses to testify. The trial panel then granted in part the witness's request for adjournment and ordered their testimony to resume on Monday, 16th of October. After this, the 30th witness called by the prosecution so far began with their testimony. This is a protected witness who has so far testified mostly in private session. According to the summary read in court, this witness is a former KLA member whose testimony, among other things, relates to the KLA command structure in Albania and the Pastrik zone. In the same case, on 10th of October, the trial panel granted a request by the prosecution for a witness to testify through video conference, and on 11th of October granted in part a separate request by the prosecution for another witness's testimony to be held via video conference. On 11th of October, the trial panel granted a request from the Krasniqi defense to admit an additional document into evidence related to a witness's testimony. The trial panel also granted this week a prosecution request limiting the scope of questioning for 2 witnesses to defined topics in view of Rule 107. This rule provides that if the prosecution has received information on a confidential basis solely for the purpose of generating new evidence, the information shall not be disclosed without the consent of the provider. If the prosecution calls a witness in connection with this rule, it may also limit the scope of questioning. Hearings in the Thachi et al. Trial resume next Monday, 16th of October at 9 a.m. and are scheduled to take place through next Thursday.